Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be discussing about GL period statuses and its significance. So we have different statuses for a particular GL period, and I'll explain about the different statuses and its significance. So these are the different statuses. These are the statuses through which a period moves forward. The first status of a GL period is never opened, and then it gets into something called future interval status. Again, that's an optional. I'll explain the significance of the future interval status, and then it gets into open status, closed, and permanently closed. Now let us see in detail the significance of these period statuses and what kind of transactions can be entered when a particular GL period is in any of these different statuses. So let me get into this table. So the first status for a GL period will be never open status. When the GL is in never open status, you cannot enter any journal entry. You cannot do any posting for the particular journals or any journal. You cannot even run the reports for the particular period. Obviously, whenever you are running any reports in the drop down, you will not be able to see that particular period in the drop down. And the next status is future enterable. Again, this is an optional. It all depends on the number of future enterable periods options specified in your ledger setup. In your ledger setup, if you have specified the number of future enterable period as 0, then in your GL periods you will not have any future interval status. So from never opened, your GL period moves to open status. So let me show you where you specify the number of future interval periods. So let's get into your GL super user responsibility setup, financials, accounting setup manager, accounting setups. Query for your ledger. So my ledger name is Reliance INR. Update accounting options. Click on the this update pencil. So here you can see number of future enterable periods. So for my ledger, number of future enterable periods is 1. So I always have one future enterable period. So if I go to my open period close screen, so here you can see my latest open period is April 2020. And as I have specified the number of future enterable periods as 1, I can see May 2020 as my future enterable period. And all other periods after May 2020, which is June 2020 and July 2020, will be never open period status. Obviously, your periods will be stored in GL underscore period underscore statuses table. So the periods which are in never open status you cannot see from this open and close period screen. You can see only the periods which are in future interval are open or closed or permanently closed periods. You cannot see the periods which are in never open period status from this front end screens. So if the a journal if the period is in future enterable period future enterable status, then you can enter the journal entry but you cannot post those journals. So when you try to enter a journal entry in this example in May 2020, and when you try to post, system will throw an error message saying that period is not open. And as far as running of the reports are concerned, as the journals which are falling under that future interval periods are not posted, obviously you cannot run the reports for those journals. And with regard to question as to can you go back to your previous status, that is can you go back from future interval to never open status? No. Like once the journal moves from never open to future interval, you cannot go back to the never open status. You can only go forward. That is, you can change the status from future interval to open, closed, and permanently closed, but you cannot go back to previous status. Let me show you one example. So in my ledger, May 2020 is in future interval period status. Now let me try to enter a journal. Journals, enter new journal. status journal. So here you can see my last open period, which is April 20, got defaulted here, and I can still select May 2020, which is in future enterable period. But you can see that I cannot select any other periods which are in never opened status. But I can select May 2020, which is in future enterable status. Maybe just pass some journal entry, maybe debit and expense account and credit cash account. Simple journal entry. Salaries account debit maybe 1500. Cash account credit. Okay. Save this and try to post this. When you try to post this particular journal entry, you get an error message. Please open the period you have selected for this batch before posting. So in this case, as May 2020 is still in feature enterable period status, you cannot post this particular journal entry. Okay. Now coming back to the next status, which is open. So you can change the status of a period from future enterable to open. So obviously, when the GL period is in open status, you can do everything, like you can enter journals, you can post the journals, you can run the reports. And again, can you go back to previous status? You cannot go back from open to future enterable status. You can only go forward. That is, you can change the status of the period from open to closed and then to permanently closed. And the next status is the close status. So when you close a GL period, for the periods which are in closed, you cannot enter any journal entries, you cannot post those journals, and but you can still run the reports. For all the periods which are in closed status, you can still run the reports, obviously, because if you want to run any reports for the historical transaction, then system should allow uh, picking up that particular period. Yes, so hence yes, system will allow, and hence I've marked it as yes. So system will allow to pick up the periods which are in a closed status for running of the reports. Can you go back to previous status? Yes, you can change the status of the period from closed to open, and then you can again enter any of your transactions. You can post the journal entries, you can run the reports again, you can close the period. So this is the only status wherein you can go back to the previous status. And the last status is permanently closed. As soon as you change the status of the period from closed to permanently closed, you cannot go back to previous status. So permanently closed is nothing but done and dusted. As soon as you close the period or you change the status of the period from closed to permanently closed, system will not allow you to change the status of the particular period from permanently closed to closed. In general, in a real life business scenarios, once the audit is done, ideally the customer should change the status of the period from closed to permanently closed so that nobody can reopen and pass any kind of journal entry. But whatever I have seen in all my previous times, none of the customers has actually changed their status from closed to permanent close, even though the audit is completed. They have actually kept those periods in only closed status. But the best practice is once your audit is done and once you, you think that there are no other adjustments which will be done for the previous period, then you should actually change the status of the period from closed to permanently closed. So if the period is in permanently closed, obviously you cannot enter any journal entries in that particular period. You cannot post any journal entries, but of course you can run the report for those permanently close the period. Again, as I mentioned, you cannot again go back to the previous status. You cannot go back from permanently closed to the closed status. So these are the different period statuses for a particular GL ledger, whether it's a primary ledger or the secondary ledger. So in my next video, I'll talk about similar kind of significance of the period statuses for the subledgers. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video. For interesting videos on Oracle Financials, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.